Alright, so Netflix is back to making bangers. I swear, they are utterly incapable of just making something that's either good or mediocre. They either have to make the best show that's ever made, or the worst show that's ever made. They either make the most realistic movie ever made, or they make 3 kissing booths. Has Netflix ever made something that's just truly mid? Like that has a perfect balance of both good and bad qualities? Well, we'll get to you one day. Anyway, this is Nimona, a new Netflix animated movie with a lot of lively energy that feels like it was written by Tumblr. No, wait, what's that? There's a web novel? Wait, what? I've already done this joke before. So yes, the movie Nimona is based off of the webcomic Nimona of the same name. This is important because the history of how this movie got made is kind of interesting and I feel might warrant its own biopic someday. So let me run it down real quick because I really do think this is quite an interesting story. So you guys got Blue Sky, you know, the guys who made Ice Age and the best robots movie ever made. They acquired the rights to adapt this web novel and were working on it for quite a long time, since like back in 2015. And then Fox suddenly starts kicking down their door telling them they've been sold to Disney. At this point, they're about halfway done with the movie, so they decide, hey, what the hell? Disney likes animated movies, let's pitch this to them. I mean, we've already done half the work for them. This is a nice, lively, fun kids' adventure series that they could easily fit into their catalog. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, wait, you're telling me there's gay people in this movie? Nah, you guys are getting dissolved. So Disney completely shut down Blue Sky, and with it, any hopes of this movie getting made. But the people working on it weren't going to give up so easily, seeing as how they already invested like over 4 years into it and were halfway done. So they were eventually able to cut a deal with Netflix and be able to finish the movie. And now we have it, and it's just really good. Yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I like this movie, even though I can understand why some people don't. Yes, this movie is based off of a webcomic that kind of feels like it. There's a lot of faux dramatic stuff that kind of feels edgy, but only edgy for 13-year-olds. And it does that thing that I notice a lot of this like new modern kind of media tries to do, where it has a very clear gray theme, where like the story is largely about how life is gray and people have good and bad sides and people are very dynamic and complex. But it also has a villain who's wholeheartedly and unapologetically evil to the point where they're just evil. It's like the movie's trying to say that everyone's complex and dynamic, except for this one character. And since a large part of the movie is about judging people as villains, it would be kind of better if the writers didn't just treat the villain like a villain. But what is the movie actually about? Nimona is about a disgraced knight in a futuristic medieval society who gets framed for a horrible crime. So he has to work together with this anarchist shapeshifter girl named Nimona to try and clear his name. And through the story, we have a bunch of themes about regret, legacy, what it means to be a hero or a villain. Once again, nothing very spectacular, but themes that are important for a child audience to learn. One of the best things about this movie is strangely the voice acting. Riz Ahmed and Chloe Grace Moretz voice the 2 main characters, and they strangely carry this movie. Both of them are great voice actors on their own, but it's when they're bumping heads together that they really feel alive. I don't know if they read their lines to one another while they were recording. There's such a strange amount of like friendly chemistry that you see between these 2 actors that aren't even acting towards each other. Like when you see Ryan Gosling act opposite Russell Crowe, it makes sense why they're able to bump off of each other so well.
Look, when you're talking to your doctor, just tell him you have a spiral fracture of the left radius. No! No! Deep breath.
And I am sure some of this has to do with the writing, which again does have some of that, you know, Tumblr angsty stuff in it. But it mostly feels like that's a matter of adaptation where a lot of that stuff is integral to the story of the comic. So adapting it requires you to do those story beats, but I think they did the best that they could to try and improve them. I haven't read the comic, so I can't really explain this very well, but all I'll just say is that the writing is fun. And you better get used to hearing that because that's really the best word to describe this movie. Fun. The characters are fun, the world is fun, the story is fun, the themes are fun.
I don't know what's scarier. The fact that everyone in this kingdom wants to run a sword through my heart. Or that sometimes I just want to let them.
Okay, so yeah, maybe the themes aren't fun. But again, they are really good and really nice to see studios put out a movie that has a theme that's not like be friends with people or like just don't be depressed. Instead of the theme of this movie being that simple, it's much more complicated and abstract about how we judge people and societal pressures and familial trauma. My favorite aspect of the movie probably being how it shows how a world can be misled by a simple story. The beginning of the movie starts with a narration that's telling a story of how the world came to be. And normally I don't like opening movies or really having any scene where the characters just tell you the story of events that happened. But in this case, I actually kind of like it, because it works rather well, because the story that is told is not entirely accurate. Yet the characters in the world treat it as though it is accurate. It creates, as JJ would say, a mystery box. So the entire movie, we want to figure out what is up with the story, and then at the very end, we figure it out in what is probably the most beautiful scene in the entire movie. In fact, I like it so much, I'm not even going to tell you what happens. Just go watch the movie. It's really fun. If you couldn't tell by now, that's the word of the hour. Fun. Even the animation is very lively and fun. Even if it's not up to, say, Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots levels, I'm just so happy that so many studios are finally done trying to copy the photoreal look of Pixar movies. Maybe that means we're about to enter an era where everybody's trying to copy the aesthetics of Spider-Verse, but, maybe there's worse things that you can do. Once again, the animation is very expressive. I'm a big fan of the character design, and the whole punk rock art style is just very entertaining and energetic. And there I go again, calling it entertaining, which is just a simile for fun. Honestly, I don't know what better note to end this video off on than that. This movie is fun. Go watch it. Nimona is going to get an 8 out of 10. And now I get to add the last gem of the found family trope into my gauntlet. Support the Writers Guild.